Hello, it is my pleasure to review the Part 1 training for NASW LEAD Day. The purpose of this training is to provide you an overview on the importance of getting involved in NASW Florida's LEAD Day and how you, a fellow social worker, professional, or student, can easily advocate for the things that matter most to your clients, your community, and your profession. So what is LEAD Day? In the simplest terms, LEAD stands for Legislative Education and Advocacy Day. Once a year, NASW Florida issues a call of action to all social work professionals and students to come to the Florida State Capitol for a day of advocacy and social justice. It begins with NASW Florida's Board of Directors approving an overall advocacy agenda or points of focus that all social workers should be advocating for. When bills are filed in the state, this agenda helps narrow our focus on what bills we should support or oppose. Based on this stance, we begin to advocate at our local levels with our county governance and then to the state level with legislators, the governor, or institutions like the Department of Children and Families. On LEAD Day, our target audience are the legislators who will be voting for these bills either in committee or on the House or Senate floor. During LEAD, it is the hope that we will be able to make appointments and talk to our legislators that represent us or speak to a collective of legislators during a committee hearing. The reason we do this is because as a profession, we believe in social justice. Social justice is the idea that all people, no matter race, age, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, or any other demographic, will have access to fair and equitable services. This includes fair treatment and rights for all institutions, or within all institutions. In government, laws are created to change or fix something that is not working. Unfortunately, some laws are created that oppress others and continue to marginalize already vulnerable and oppressed individuals and communities. As social workers, it is our job to shine a light on these inconsistencies and work alongside our decision makers by providing them with evidence-based knowledge and stories to help guide their decision making. If we do not, who will? As social workers and in our profession, we are founded on social change. It's written in the NASW core values. Social justice is not just a word, but an action, a call to act, to ensure that decisions, policies, and laws are upholding the dignity and worth of all people. It's within our professional obligation to address the gaps in services and to do this honoring our relationships and commitment to help others. We also do it because we are trained to be change agents and to act with integrity when we are faced with opposition. We have the skills to influence and provide solid recommendations to better our communities. As social work students, our training in advocacy begins with our social justice and social work curriculum. The Council of Social Work Education and our social work programs have made a commitment to help students understand social justice, human rights, and social welfare services, and how they are mediated by policy. Policies that are implemented at the local, state, and federal level. The acknowledgement means that our social work professors must provide students with the knowledge and tools to help formulate, analyze, evaluate, and most importantly, help them craft their advocacy message so they can play a role in policy development and implementation. As social work professionals, advocacy is a part of our ethical principles, specifically when we look at our ethical responsibilities to the broader society. Within this section, codes 6.01, 6.02, and 6.04 help reaffirm our commitment to promote the general welfare of society by participating in the facilitation and development of social policies and institutions because it's our call of action. A call to ensure that all people have equitable and equal access to resources, employment, services, and opportunities. As social workers, we believe that all people are created equal, but understand that we as a society are not there yet. To get to this ultimate goal, we must get involved. As social workers, we have the skills. We know how to look and assess from a multiple dimensional approach. We have the skills to bring people together, especially those who oppose each other. We understand the seriousness of social justice problems because we work with them every day. And most importantly, we have a track record of being a part of legislation that brought our nation one step closer to equity. We have been a part of securing Social Security, Medicare, through the works of social workers like Frances Perkins and Harry Hopkins. We were influential during the Civil Rights Act of 1965 with the influence of social worker Whitney Young and Dorothy Height. Dyra J. Edwards, a lifelong social worker with international impact, has said her career began as a social worker in Chicago, and she went on to diversify her skills as a lecturer, women's rights advocate, labor organizer, and lobbyist. And right here in Florida, social workers together created the Social Work Title Protection, Florida Institute for Child Welfare, and Child Protection and Child Welfare Personnel. We are qualified more than others to influence and create a state that supports social justice policies. Hopefully, you are inspired and ready to head to LEAD Day. But you may still have some questions, especially with how does legislation work? How will I know I am being effective? Well, let's take a quick look at how our Florida government works so you can begin to identify the best approach to advocacy and where to begin. Florida government is split similarly to our federal government. It has three branches that include the legislation or legislative, who make the laws, the executive, who enforces the law, and the judicial, who interprets and applies the law. The legislative branch consists of our state senators and representatives. The executive is run by the governor and his or her cabinet, and the judicial holds our state Supreme Court and justices. Each of these branches are responsible for writing, creating, interpreting, and implementing our laws in Florida. But the most important thing to remember is this process doesn't occur without the people. By people, I mean you and me. Bill becomes laws because individuals like us see a gap or come up with a great idea and submit that to our legislators to see if they will draft a bill to end this gap. At other times, we get involved when a bill is going through committees and subcommittees, where bills are being discussed or considered for amending current law. It's at these moments that our advocacy is needed to either assist in getting a bill pushed forward or stopping a bad bill from becoming a law. Most of our work occurs within the legislative branch. Again, this branch holds our state House of Representatives and our state senators. These legislators are zoned by district. Each of us live in a district that geographically maps out the territory or areas of the community that a representative or senator speaks on. Even though some of us live in the same county, it does not mean that we all have the same senator or representative. This is clearly defined by district lines. In total, there are 120 representatives that carry out 2-year terms for no more than 4 years. There are 40 senators who carry out 4-year terms for no more than 2 terms. These individuals sit on committee and hold leadership positions like Speaker of the House of Representatives. It's important to know who represents you, what their professional background is, and what committees they sit on. This will help you get a better understanding of how they make decisions, particularly on issues you are advocating for. Now that we know who to talk to and when to begin the advocacy process, it's time to review how do we prepare for advocacy and what topics do we advocate for. The first step is researching and reading proposed bills. Most of us will begin the advocacy process after a bill has been filed and assigned a committee to begin the journey to become a law. In order to catch up, we must read the bill and see what the bill is proposing or amending to current law. It begins with searching for a bill. You can search for a bill at the FL Senate or Florida House by search terms such as public education, veterans, etc. You can also search by specific legislator who drafted the proposed bill or by the bill number. Every bill is assigned a number for record keeping, and it allows legislators to refer back to bills quickly. Once a bill has been found, it's important to read it, but pay extra attention to the areas that are underlined or stricken through. These markings are important when a bill is amending a law. Anything underlined is new initiatives or tasks being added to the current law. Anything struck out means this information will be removed from current law. Anything that's written in normal text means two things. One, this is a brand new bill, so all of this is new context. Or two, this language will remain the same even after the bill amends current law. Lucky for us, during LEAD, NASW Florida will provide us a comprehensive overview of bills they would like us to advocate for. They will provide us with speaking points, an advocacy infographic or fact sheet to leave with our legislators, and key points to concentrate on. NASW Florida will choose bills for us to concentrate on that they believe will most likely become law. Sometimes they will choose bills that they deem will have a great chance of becoming law. Bills that pass are introduced early in both the House and the Senate. They have multiple legislators who sponsor or, in other words, support this bill from the very beginning. It looks even more promising if the bill has less hurdles to overcome. It's ideal for less committee assignments, more bipartisan support, and support and influence from individuals like the governor and other influential people. So what type of bills are NASW Florida considering? It's important to remember the NASW Florida Board sets the legislative agenda. This year, the board has created a large agenda or topics that really look at the heart of some of the major issues that Floridians have experienced, watched, or participated in. These areas include supporting anti-racism legislation, eliminating voter suppression, and advocacy for police reform, particularly in the culture and anti-bias training. The agenda continues to support fair practices regarding social work licensure, which includes the 8-hour laws and rules exam to be part of the application process. The agenda expands to immigration justice, the need for school social workers, and ensuring that the LGBTQIA population cannot be discriminated in workplace or public facilities. The agenda also looks at the expansion and access to affordable health services, including mental health services for veterans and military families. It includes criminal justice reform that promotes reasonable, equitable laws, juvenile diversion, and sentencing guidelines. And lastly, it includes environmental justice due to our communities of color who face the worst aspects of climate change due to a lack of environmental related worker safety rules. Bills that fall under these categories are given extra attention by NASW Florida and by us because we stand in support of this legislative agenda as social workers. So how do we begin advocating? This next section will look at some key skills that will help you in this process. The first step in advocacy, and especially at LEAD Day, is making appointments with your legislators. 2 to 3 weeks prior to LEAD Day, you want to reach out to your district senator or representative. You also want to take a look at the bills you are interested in and see if they're going to be in committee. If so, you may want to meet with those committee members as they are the ones that will be voting on bills through the legislative process. To find your legislator, you can visit flsenate.gov, that's flsenate.gov, and hit the tab labeled Senators. In this box area, you can search for your legislator and representative by inputting your home address. This will provide you with the contact information of your legislator to set up an appointment. When you call or email to create your appointment, be prepared that your legislator may not be available, but their aide or assistant is. Still make the appointment. An aide or an assistant is equally influential to the legislative process. They filter ideas, support, and recommendations and provide them to their boss, aka your legislator. Sometimes they hold the key to addressing new ideas or recommendations. Do not be afraid to make an appointment. Remember, they are public servants. They represent you. This is their job. They are used to meeting with constituents, and they are happy to make appointments. When making the appointment, keep the dialogue short. Start with introducing yourself and identifying that you are a constituent of the senator or representative's district. State that you're looking for an appointment and that you would like to set up an appointment on one of the days of LEAD. Provide them with a specific time range, but let them know that it's flexible. Explain that you are a student and you want to talk to them of an issue that's important to social work and clients of social work. If you know the specific issue or bill, include those details. Remember to thank them for their consideration, and you can address your eagerness to meet with them. Now that your appointments are set, it's time to discuss what will LEAD Day look like. Here's what to expect. NASW Florida will provide social work students with a Part 2 training. The purpose of this training is for social work students to network with each other, to begin building their own coalition of support, and hear from statewide NASW committee members and student representatives. In this meeting, you will hear about specific bills selected for advocacy during your legislative appointments and receive important information on committee meetings and other sessions that will only heighten your LEAD Day experience. The Part 2 training always occurs the day before the actual day on the Hill. The day of a LEAD, or our day on the Hill, we will come together to kick off the day's events and appointments with a rally. This rally signifies the strength in numbers and reminds us of why we are collectively together, working to create change in our great state. When the rally is over, it's game time. You will attend your meetings with your elected officials, attend committee hearings on the bills you are advocating for, network with seasoned social workers and students from other programs, but most importantly, you'll be able to use your voice and presence to bring attention to our commitment to social justice and advocacy. The LEAD experience will look different during periods of health crisis, climate crisis, or other unpredictable events. In these cases, LEAD will be conducted virtually. To prepare for a virtual event, remember that your appointments with legislators will be conducted over telecommunication, and this goes for committee hearings too. Make sure you test your computer equipment ahead of time and that you have your talking points and any links ready to share. If LEAD is occurring in person, it's important that you start with finding the locations of all your appointments. The Capitol is made up of 3 buildings, 2 buildings that are attached to the main Capitol. All 3 buildings hold legislative offices and committee rooms. It's important to know where your appointments are located and that you plan ahead for security entry points, waiting on elevators, and possibly getting a bit lost. It's important to get a lay of the land, look for maps, directories, and looking at markers that will help you. Ask for help. People will gladly help you, and always look at the elevators. Not all elevators go to all floors. When you are conducting your visit with an elected official, it's important to come prepared. Practice what you are going to say ahead of time and stick to the points. Use a mixture of storytelling and evidence-based knowledge. Stories bring the face and experiences to legislators, while the evidence will help support your claims. Be polite and friendly. Remember to use your engagement skills. Small talk is appropriate in the beginning. It sets a friendly tone and allows you to take a breath if nerves are starting to build. Remember to tell them that you're a part of LEAD and explain why this event is important to social workers and your community. Then get straight to business. Discuss the bill. Explain why they should or should not support this bill with 3 main points, and ask them if you have their vote. I know that sounds intimidating, but remember, you are a change agent, and with that comes this wonderful opportunity to inform and educate. Be prepared that their response may be, "I don't know." So don't leave it there. Ask them what they are unsure about and what information is needed to help. If they say yes, fantastic. Thank them for their support, but ask if there's anything else you can do. If they say no, that's okay too. Do not take it personally. We don't always agree, and sometimes it takes longer to change minds. Instead, let them know that you would like to follow up or leave more information for them to consider later on. No matter the response, thank them for their time and leave on a positive note. That may be asking for a picture to remember the moment or leaving on a collective statement like, "Can't wait to see you at the game next week." A visit with a legislator may only last 10 minutes, so preparing ahead of time is key. Before the visit, remember to review the bill, evidence, and speaking points. If you're in a group, assign co-leaders or roles, such as who's going to introduce the group, who's going to provide the overview of the bill or issue, who's going to provide the story, who's going to provide the data, and who's going to ask the legislator for the vote. Remember, do not forget to mention that you live in their district. This tactic is not to threaten them, but to remind them that you are actively involved in the decisions they make on behalf of your district. During the meeting, if the legislator asks you a question about the bill and you do not know the answer, it's okay to say, "I don't know." The last thing you want to do is to make an assumption of what you think the legislator wants to hear or make up data to persuade them. Instead say, "I don't know, but I'll follow up." And again, at the end, thank them. Thank them for anything: their service, support of the bill, voting on a bill that you supported in the past. And similar to our practice, follow up a day later with a thank you note or an email. Remember, your advocacy doesn't end when the meeting ends. Your advocacy efforts with your legislator is just beginning, and that note can go a long way. When you are not meeting with legislators, make sure you attend a committee meeting. You can view the House and Senate schedule by going to flsenate.gov or flhouse.gov. Committees' agendas are posted a few days ahead of time, but it gives you insight on what bills they will be discussing. During committee meetings, they will debate the purpose of the bill and give their opinion on the bill. Committee hearings also give you an opportunity to make a public statement in support or opposition. Also, you can hear from organizations and lobbyists who are testifying in support or opposition. The testimony allows you greater insight on who you may want to connect with later to continue your advocacy efforts down the road. Again, LEAD Day is meant to provide you a unique experience to what advocacy looks like at the state level. But this event is just one step in the overall process. Advocacy should be a part of your everyday activities. When LEAD ends, it's important to continue the momentum at home. Continue to make appointments to your elected officials. Email, call, and write your legislator. Let them become familiar with you so that they begin to seek you out as an expert on social justice topics. Follow up with your thank you email or note if you had a visit. Within your note, request another visit, especially if they said no or wanted more information. Most importantly, share your experience with classmates, friends, colleagues, and your family. Because we all have the power to make change. It just takes believing in hope. Hope that we can create change despite the culture of democracy we see today. By advocating, we collectively agreed to open our ears, our hearts, and our minds to work together to create solutions that we all believe in. But most importantly, we recognize advocacy as it's not about us or what we can gain from it. It's about the greater good. Advocating to ensure that the lines all men are created equally actually means all people are created equal with access to the same opportunities and rights. Because at the end of the day, that's what our profession believes in and what most people believe in too. So do not underestimate yourself and go out there and make change. NASW Florida wishes you the best of luck, and we cannot wait to see you at LEAD Day.